my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. This is officially my last video at my parents' place. I think I said that in my last video, but I was sitting here today, I'm by myself. It's a gorgeous day, lots of great lighting, and I have to get this October releases video out for you before I go home tomorrow because October 1st, which is a couple days away, is probably the biggest release day of the year. There are so many books. October 29th, not as many, like later in the month, it kind of really dwindles down a lot, at least for ones that I'm interested in. But October 1st is huge. So I have to get this to you ahead of time. And the problem with the first day of the month being the first release day, being a Tuesday, means that by the time you see this, probably the pre-order campaigns are over, and that is a fail on my part. But what I'm gonna start doing is whenever I come across a pre-order campaign on Instagram, I'm also gonna share them on my story, so you can follow me over there. It's just at Kristen Craves Books, same as my YouTube channel. And I'll continue to include them on here as well. So that is something to note. And I had to start and stop this video a few times because I was sitting out here and just down the hill from this window, there is a river. And suddenly there were a bunch of people dressed in witches costumes, and they were kayaking and on paddle boards and playing music and talking to people on the sidelines, and I had to go watch and film it. And that was just so funny, and I just love humans. I think that is so fun. I just love when like small communities like this do stuff like that. I know that this town also does like a stand-up pub crawl where everybody dresses as Santa and they go to the different bars on the strip, and I think that's hilarious and I just love it. So I had to go out there and see that, and that's perfect because there are quite a few witchy books coming out in October, and of course it's me, so I will be filming a few witch related videos, so it was too perfect. But let's just get into October first, because prepare your wallets, prepare your library holds. It's gonna be a doozy. Let's just start off with a heavy hitter, a big author, at least to me. We're getting a new book from Nevo, and she's quickly becoming an auto-buy author for me. Siren Queen's one of my favorite books of all time. I think it's highly underrated, so it's exciting to get like a start of a new series from her, because I know she's been doing that other novella series recently, which is also really good. But this one's called The City in Glass, and it says a demon, an angel, and a city that burns at the heart of the world. So I'm curious to see what she does with something that feels more fantasy than what she's released in the past. She's always done magical realism, fantastical, but a lot of them are more based in our reality. Like Siren Queen's was based in 1930s Hollywood and things like that. So this is definitely more fantasy, and I think she'll kill it. I think she'll be amazing at it. And I love that this book, it's an angel and demon book, but we're following the demon, and I have a feeling we're gonna root for her, and I think that's fantastic. And she has been running the city for generations, but then the angels come and they destroy everything. And I think she actually has a romance with one of the angels who came to the city, and she's in deep grief of everything that she's lost. But it says that it is both a brilliantly constructed history and an epic love story of death and resurrection, memory and transformation, redemption and desire strong enough to burn a world to ash and build it anew. Kate Stayman London has a new book. She wrote One to Watch, which admittedly wasn't my favorite, but I liked the idea of this. And if you're gonna have vampires and you're gonna have a punny title, it's gonna catch my eye. I like how like campy this cover is. It's called Fang Fiction. I just think that is so clever. Now, it's not doing anything too unique because it's one of those books where a main character ends up in the story of her favorite novel, and I feel like we've been getting a few of those lately. That's always kind of been a popular trope. And the fact that this one is actually a vampire novel does make it unique, because I feel like it's often something like Pride and Prejudice or romance, and this is obviously scarier. It says the world of your favorite fantasy novel is real, and you're invited to visit. The only catch, it's filled with thirsty vampires. Devour this page-turning romance from the best-selling author of One to Watch. So I just think that could be fun if you just go into it suspending your disbelief and you're just there for the ride. A lot of vampire books are like that for me, and I love it. I just think it's fun. A subgenre of horror that really works for me that I've realized is like gothic southern horror, something set in the Appalachians or something like that. And The Bog Wife seems to fit that, and this is by Kay Chronister, and it's an atmospheric Appalachian gothic. The Hattersley siblings of West Virginia must unearth long-buried secrets to carve out a future when their supernatural bargain intertwining their fate with their ancestral land is suddenly ruptured. So we're definitely getting some family drama in this, which I always appreciate. I have a feeling it follows all of the different siblings and their perspectives on this. And it's some kind of weird curse. The family owns a cranberry bog, which I have been to a cranberry bog before. I've walked around in the waders in the cranberry bog. That was kind of fun. But there was no curse or bog wife, and the thought of that is terrifying. So this family is tasked with taking care of this bog, and they receive fortunes from it, and they have to do some sacrifices, and then they get this bog wife that somebody in the family marries or something, we'll see. But one year the bog fails to reproduce a bog wife, and we see how each of the siblings and within this family respond to that. So creepy, I'm here for it. Sounds like my cup of tea. Judy I. Lynn has a new book coming out, and this definitely looks more horror than some of the other stuff that I've seen from her. I always put her books on my TBR and in these videos because they always look amazing, but I've yet to read anything by her. But this one, the cover is super creepy, and I'm curious to see what she does with horror. This is called The Dark Becomes Her. So this is set in Vancouver's Chinatown. We're following Ruby, who's always been the dutiful eldest daughter, and she's been taking care of her sister. But one night a ghost is unleashed on the community, and her sister starts to act different. There are strange sounds happening, and just something doesn't feel right. She realizes that her sister is being possessed by a demon, and in order to save her, she ends up wrapped up in this gateway between the real world and the underworld. And it says, in order to survive, Ruby must not only face the horror taking over her community, but must also confront the horror within herself. Chinese and Taiwanese mythology get the Juno Ito treatment in this bone-chilling, propulsive story that takes the horrors of the Asian diaspora experience to a whole new level. And I did see on the author's Instagram that there are these stunning, stunning, stunning page overlays available. And I think she said they're available as long as she still has some. So hopefully she still has them available when I'm posting this, because they're gorgeous. And you know, my favorite pre-order incentive right now is these page overlays, because I think they're unique, everybody loves them, and the artworks are always incredible. And then a new book, one that actually has been getting some buzz. I've been seeing special editions of this and people talking about it on Twitter and stuff, and I'm really excited for it because it's a cozy witchy fantasy. It's called Best Hex Ever by Nadia L. Fossey, and it says that a kitchen witch with a penchant for baking and a literally cursed love life meets someone who's worth breaking a hex for in a sweet and spicy debut romance. So again, it's one of those cartoon covers. You probably wouldn't expect it to be spicy, but it is. Actually, I'm reading one of those now. It's a witchy, cozy fantasy with a cute cover, and it's surprisingly steamy, which I'm all for, but I just wasn't expecting it. So this is a romance between Dina, who is a baker, and she actually has magical pastries, but very few people know that she infuses her magic into the baked goods. And then Scott, who's just moved back to London. He's gone through a really terrible breakup, and he happens to walk into her cafe. And obviously Dina has a kind of curse on her, which is very common in these witchy books, but it says, after a weekend in the countryside full of peculiar hedge mages, prom readings by candlelight, and a midnight Halloween ritual, there's no denying the chemistry between them. But there's one problem. The hex still holds, and Dina knows that Scott is in danger. In the past, she's always cut her losses, but this time is different. Scott could be the one. Will Dina be able to undo the hex before it's too late? Cute. Halloween's mentioned. Perfect October read. I discovered River Solomon this year. I mean, their books have always been on my TBR, highly recommended to me, but I finally picked up something from them and I really, really loved it. I'm super excited for Model Home because I think that this one probably leans more horror than some of their other stuff. I think they always kind of dabble in horror a little bit, but this one seems to go all in, and I love it. It says, welcome to River Solomon's dark and wondrous model home, a new kind of haunted house novel. Again, there's nothing that unique about the idea of a haunted house story, though I do love them, but I love when authors can take a common trope, a common theme, something that's been done a million times, like a haunted house story, and add new elements to it, make it feel fresh and original, have some kind of commentary, because I feel like you can really, really do that in horror. A lot of the horror I read has something to say more than any genre. I say this a lot, but I really do believe that. So this again follows siblings, which again is something I find common in horror and I always like. It says the three Maxwell siblings keep their distance from the lily white gated enclave outside Dallas where they grew up. When their family moved there, they were the only black family in the neighborhood. The neighbors acted nice enough, but right away bad things, scary things, the strange and unexplainable began to happen to their house. Maybe it was some cosmic trial, a demon rite of passage into the upper middle class. Whatever it was, the Maxwells, steered by their formidable mother, stayed put, unwilling to abandon their home, terrors, and trauma be damned. So now we're following the siblings who have moved away from this home, having to come back. And it says that River Solomon's turns the haunted house story on its head, unearthing the dark legacies of segregation and racism in the suburban American South. Unbridled, raw, and daring, Model Home is a story of secret histories uncovered and of a queer family battling for their right to live, grieve, and heal amid the terrors of contemporary American life. So from that synopsis, it's everything that I thought it would be. I already know that River Solomon is an incredibly talented author, and I do read a couple of haunted house books a year, especially in October, so that one is high on my list. Emily Lloyd-Jones is an author who has always intrigued me. It's her first book, The Bone Houses. I feel like that was a popular one. And she has a new book coming out, and it's called The Wild Huntress. And from what I can tell, it's set in the same world as her other books, and I feel like I should read her other ones first, even though obviously these are all standalones within the same world. I've heard good things about everything, so I should probably start there. But this one really intrigues me because it's set in the woods. Anything set in the woods, I'm gonna be all about. It says, within these woods, trust no one. Dive into a lush, standalone fantasy, yes, set in the same world as the Drowned Woods and the Bone Houses, about a deadly competition. Perfect for fans of Aaron A. Craig. That's speaking my language. I love Aaron A. Craig, you know this, and deadly competitions, who doesn't love that? Every 5 years, two kingdoms take part in a wild hunt. Joining is a bloody risk, and even the most qualified hunters can suffer the deadliest fates. Still, hundreds gamble their lives to participate, all vying for the hunt's life-changing prize, a magical wish granted by the other king. We're following 3 different characters who all have different motivations and goals for why they want to win. It seems like they're actually going to band together to do so, and it says if they band together against the monstrous creatures within the woods, they have a chance to win. But then again, nothing is guaranteed when all is fair in love and the hunt. Sounds like a good time to me, but again, I should probably go back and read her other books, but let me know if that is worth doing. Now, no surprise, I know it's October and we should be all about the creepier, scarier reads, but this is when you start to see some Christmas romances come out, some holiday romances. Every single year they start to come out in October, so I'm gonna talk about them. Ashley Herring Blake, who I know a lot of people adore, has a romance, a holiday romance coming out. It's called Make the Season Bright. I just love all the titles and covers of Christmas romances. I know they're cheesy, but I love it. This seems to be a second chance romance, and actually our main character Charlotte was left at the altar, and she's part of a string quartet. It's Christmas time, so obviously they're doing a lot of Christmas music, and one of her partners invites her to her house for the holidays, and when she gets there, her friend's sister also brought a friend who just happens to be her ex who left her at the aisle. So that seems like it's going to be very dramatic, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sweet Christmas related scenes, and I am for that. Yeah, it says Charlotte and Brighton are soon entrenched in horseback riding and cookie decorating. I called it, but Charlotte still won't talk to her. Brighton can barely blame her after what she did. After a few days, however, things start to slip through. Memories, music, the way they used to play together, Brighton on guitar, Charlotte on her violin, and it all feels painfully familiar. But it's all in the past, and nothing can melt the ice in their hearts. Right? Sweet. This next one I never saw coming. I didn't think we were going to be getting a sequel to this book, but I'm really excited about it, and it's The Brightness Between Us by Elliot Sheffer. This is the sequel to A Darkness Outside Us, which I read a few years ago now when it first came out. Just kind of picked it up on a whim because I liked the cover and it was into sci-fi, and I was blown away by it. I thought it was fantastic. I haven't heard great things about this author's books since, so I haven't picked any of them up, but a sequel to this, I am all for. And if you're familiar with book 1, you'll know how much chemistry those characters had and the banter, and I'm glad that we're seeing them again years later. I think they said like 17 years later or something. So we're gonna get to see what happened in all those years. I love that, and I love that they're still together all these years later because I was really rooting for them. I love them, and we're following their kids. It says that it is a genre-bending novel and an epic love story that spans thousands of years and the far reaches of the galaxy. Separated by time and space, a young family and 2 strangers learn that their lives are intimately intertwined. They race to uncover the unexpected connections that might save them all, and perhaps humanity as well. So there's some bigger stakes in here while also being a romance, but I don't want to say too much more about the synopsis because you really should read book 1. I loved it so much. Can you believe those were all coming out on October 1st? We're finally moving on to October 8th. This first one is one I actually have an audiobook ALC of from NetGalley, and I just love the cover so much I had to request it. It is peak cozy October vibes. You put a pumpkin on a cover, I'm gonna want to read it. This is called A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Keeney. It says that it's a warm, spellbinding tale about a witch and the secrets her coven has been keeping from her, with the echoes of the classic Hades and Persephone story, which is very interesting, in the tradition of practical magic. Of course, every witchy book is compared to practical magic. You know what? One of my favorites, so that's all right. This just feels super cozy and atmospheric. It's following a hedge witch named Kate who leads a very solitary life, just picking her herbs, and she's happy to do that. But then her sister comes to her and asks her to plan the annual Halloween party, and she's obligated to do it. But while she's frantically doing all of that, somebody from her past, a handsome man, shows up at her door and is asking her for sanctuary, and she's obligated to do that. So she's balancing this relationship she has with this man and how that is kind of messing with her, while also having to plan this Halloween annual gathering. And it says that it is a celebration of the Halloween season and a love letter to anyone who drinks pumpkin spice in August and carries the spirit of a witch inside their hearts all year long. So really speaking to me personally. Another thing you're gonna notice is that if there's a cat on the cover, I'm gonna add it to this video, and every October we get a ton of books with cats on the cover, and this is no exception. It's called Shoestring Theory by Mariana Costa, and it's gonna be one of the best covers ever. You got a cat, you got books on there. You can tell that all of this gold is going to be foiled. It's going to be stunning. It says it's a queer madcap, friends to lovers to enemies to lovers, time travel romance with the future of the world at stake. This charming fantasy tale is sure to satisfy fans of Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So you know it's super cozy already. The only word in there that is throwing me off is time travel romance, because historically time travel is not my favorite thing, but I can't say that I have read cozy fantasy that is time travel. So maybe I will like that. Everything else about that does sound like it's up my alley. Featuring a formidable aunt, a friends to lovers to enemies to lovers romance, an awkward love quadrangle, that's a new one to me, and a crow familiar named Ganesh. Yeah, I love that. This charming story is immensely easy to read and sure to satisfy fans of fan fiction who like their fantasy light. So interesting. I'm curious about that one for sure. I'm so excited about this next one. Seems like every October now, we get a new book from CJ Cook. I read it on release day and it becomes one of my favorite books of the year. You know how much I love CJ Cook. She is in my top 5 authors, never misses for me. Look forward to her books every year. They kill me. They're not light reads. I know I love a light read, and that's what I've been talking about a lot in this video. No, her books are heavy, and I think she's brilliant. And the new book feels like it's written just for me. It's called The Book of Witching. This story follows a mother who gets a call that her daughter has been hospitalized after a hiking accident that left her daughter's best friend missing and her boyfriend dead. And her mom obviously rushes to the hospital. She wakes up and she doesn't remember who her mom is, and she's insisting that she is somebody named Nyx. And it says that Clem, who is the mother character, travels to the site of her daughter's accident, determined to find out what happened to her. The answer may lie in a dark secret history of the Orkneys, a woman wrongly accused of witchcraft and a murder 4 centuries ago. Clem begins to wonder if Erin's strange behavior is a symptom of a broken mind or the effects of an ancient curse. And something that CJ Cook does really well, and I always really love, is that we get a perspective in the present. So obviously Clem and her daughter, and I'm sure we're gonna get some perspectives and timelines of the past, of the witches that were murdered there and all that stuff in that history, and she blends those well. She's really good at that. So really looking forward to this. Obviously I'll be reading it the day it comes out, and you'll hear me rave about it because I have no doubt I'm gonna love it. Another Southern Gothic horror, so you know I'm gonna love this, is This Cursed House by Del Seldine, and it says some things are best left buried. In his Southern Gothic horror debut, a young black woman abandons her life in 1960s Chicago for position with a mysterious family in New Orleans, only to discover the dark truth. They're under a curse and they think she can break it. Lots of books about curses coming out this month, which makes sense. So as that little synopsis told us, we're following Gemma, who is returning to New Orleans for a job with a family, and she thinks it's going to be the perfect opportunity for her, and she realizes something more sinister is going on. The family is cursed, and it says, as Gemma wrestles with the gift she runs from all her life, she unravels deeper and more disturbing secrets about the mysterious family. Secrets that stretch back for over a century. Secrets that bind her to their fates if she fails. Freya Marsky has a new book coming out, fantasy. I didn't love Is It a Marvelous Light as much as I thought I was going to, but this one really intrigues me. It's called Sword Crossed, which is hilarious. So I think our main character, it is pronounced Matanesh, and it says that he's a dutiful heir to his struggling family business, and he needs to hire an experienced swordsman to serve as his best man for his arranged marriage, which is interesting. Why do you need a swordsman? I'm sure that's explained. A sword challenge at the ceremony could destroy all hope of restoring his family's wealth, something that Maddie has been trying and failing to do for the past 10 years. What he can't afford, unfortunately, is part-time con artist and full-time charming menace, Luca. So I think the two of them obviously have a romance, which is complicated considering Maddie is supposed to get married. As the days count down to Maddie's wedding, the two of them become entangled in the intrigue and sabotage that have brought Maddie's house to the brink of ruin. And when Luca's secrets threaten to drive a blade through their growing alliance, both Maddie and Luca will have to answer to how many lies are you prepared to strip away when the truth could mean losing everything you want. Now another book that is both Halloween and Christmas. It's gonna have that A Nightmare Before Christmas debate. Is it a Christmas movie? Is it a Halloween movie? Let me know your feelings on that down below. But this is A Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, by Sarah Rosh, and it says that it is a quirky rom-com where the golden-haired Prince of Christmas falls for the totally off-limits Prince of Halloween. So I love that there's a Prince of Christmas and a Prince of Halloween in this. So we're following Cole, which is hilarious. He is the Prince of Christmas, and he has like a hot makeout at a bar with some guy, doesn't know who he is. And then he learns that he is being arranged to marry a friend of his, the Princess of Easter, of course, who actually his brother is in love with. And then a rival shows up to fight for the princess's hand, and that person just happens to be the guy that he made out with at the bar. And it says it's a fake competition between two holiday princes who can't keep their hands off each other over a marriage of convenience that no one wants. And it all leads to one of the sweetest, sexiest, messiest, most delightful, unforgettable love stories of the year. So that just sounds like it's gonna be a good time to me. I love the cover, I love the whole premise of that one, so fun. Another Christmas romance. It's called I'll Be Gone for Christmas by Georgia K. Boone. For fans of the holiday comes a heartwarming Christmas house swap rom-com debut in which finding yourself and finding love come hand in hand. And if there's one Christmas movie I'm a fan of, other than A Muppet's Christmas Carol, it is The Holiday. I have to watch it every year. So it's following these two women who both want to do something different for the holidays, escape their real lives, a la The Holiday. So one lives in San Francisco, one lives in Salem, Ohio. They swap lives. And it says, soon enough, Bee is living in Clover's cozy Salem cottage and Clover is living in Bee's sleek San Francisco apartment. As Clover can't seem to stop running into Bee's frustratingly gorgeous sister, Beth, and Bee finds herself spending more and more time with Clover's ultra-charming ex-fiance, Knox, the two women realize that this Christmas they might find just what they're looking for and more. So very much The Holiday, but I'm all for it. There is a pre-order campaign for this one. If you buy from Bell Canto Books, you will receive a signed copy and a custom tarot card. So is tarot part of this story? That would be different and interesting. And I love the illustration of it, absolutely gorgeous. Moving on to October 15th, we have Sorcery and Small Magics, and it says, desperate to undo the curse binding them to each other, an impulsive sorcerer and a curmudgeonly rival venture deep into a magic forest in search of a counterspell, only to discover that magic might not be the only thing pulling them together. Another curse. I've been told that this is a slow burn, it's grumpy sunshine, there's some kind of forest happening here, there's a curse. It's got a lot of my buzzwords. There's a stunning art print for a pre-order incentive as well. Absolutely gorgeous, definitely gives you the vibes of the story. They're in a forest there, I love it, and yeah, kind of what is calling to me at the moment. This next one I've been seeing around quite a bit as well, and it's called Strange Beast by Susan J. Morris. It says, in this fresh yet familiar gothic tale, part historical fantasy, part puzzle box mystery, the worlds of Dracula and Sherlock Holmes collide in a thrilling exploration of feminine power. So we're following the daughter of Dracula's killer and the daughter of Moriarty, whose enemy is Sherlock Holmes. Ranging from the elite clubs of Paris to the dark underbelly of the catacombs, their investigation sweeps them into a race to stop a beast from its killing rampage as Hal and Sam are pitted against men, monsters, and even each other. But beneath their trust, an unmistakable attraction brews. Is trusting Hal the key to solving the murder, or is Sam yet another pawn in Hal's game? And then anything that Cassidy does, I'm gonna wanna read, even if it's a short novella. I wish it was longer, but I'll take it. And this is called Rest Stop. It says a young musician finds himself locked inside a gas station bathroom in the middle of the night by an unseen assailant. Caught between the horrors on the other side of the door and the horrors rapidly skittering down the wall inside. That's all it tells you. That's all I need to know. One of those stories that takes place over the course of one evening. If anybody can make me love that, because it's not always my favorite thing, it's going to be Nat Cassidy. Okay, just a couple more. October 22nd, we have The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door by A.J. Perry, who I have heard of. And this is all they need to break the world was a door and someone to open it. It's actually set in 1920. Of course, my camera's dying and my family's coming home, so I have to keep this quick. But it's dark academia and fairies, which I feel like is a combo you don't see very often. Gilded and glittery, England's secret magical academy is no place for Clover, a commoner with neither connections nor blood magic. So interesting. I will leave a synopsis for these down below because I'm running out of time here. The other one I have that set that day is called Where the Dead Brides Gather. This is a powerful Nigeria set tale of possession, malevolent ghosts, family tensions, secrets, and murder from the recipient of the Bram Stoker Award. Interesting. So what I know about this one is we're following a young girl who is being tormented by nightmares, and she ends up having to save her cousin and is killed. And it's, I think, the eve of her cousin's wedding, and she ends up wrapped in this whole thing where she's with ghost brides who are women who were killed on the night of their weddings, and she has to kind of break the curse. I think she's actually killing them, so that is interesting. It says Beta is given a secret power to fight the evil ghost brides before being sent back to the human realm, where she must learn to harness her new ability as she strives to protect those whom she loves. And then last but not least, this cover got me. It's October 29th. It's Sugar by Mia Ballard. This is love, betrayal, murder, and witchcraft. And I feel like obviously we get a lot of horror, obviously we get a lot of witchy books, but we don't get a lot of witchy horror books, and I need more of those in my life. So if you know of any, let me know. This is following a 35-year-old Satara Stratton who discovers her husband Dean's treacherous affair with her best friend. Oh my goodness, drama. She plunges into familiar deceit and death. Having disposed of men before without a hitch, she now finds a new thrill in this betrayal. Okay, I love that.